Okay, I'm back here. Get comfortable, because it's time for trial. Let's see, where did we leave off here? It's, check my notes. I think we just finished up a jury summation. A summation examination. I think that's where we left off. Welcome to the continuing trials of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. The old Japanese English, I'm gonna call him the English Ace Attorney. What am I doing? Screen! Can't see anything. Alright. Begin game. Boom. Get ready, internet, for some more god-awful voice acting. By yours truly. Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. Is it the two bungling burglars again? Yeah, it's two bums in. Right. And Tobias is still up here. Inspector Fish and Chips. I presume you heard the defense counsel's summation examination. Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov. I did. Mr. and Mrs. I say Mr. and Mrs. Skulkin. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Cool, blimey. This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Winniebanks. Let us review. Well, it was bedlam soon as... weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes on me, out me Lucy Lockets. I don't know what language these people are speaking. However, that was a lie. You brothers. Cool, blimey. On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter. We never done nothing of the sort. Oh yeah, you figured that out. You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time, you will tell the truth. I mean it this time. I really, really mean it this time. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. You know what I mean. A thought worth pondering, perhaps. Say no more, Gov, we hear ya. Real blab, real squeak, real peach. Okay, back to these two idiots. Let's see what they want to say this time. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. Okay, knock stuff over. Knock stuff over. What did he knock over? It wasn't we heard his gunshot, see? Made us both jump and all of our stuff went flying. Okay, so... knock stuff over when they heard the gunshot. Okay. Yummy. And didn't give half of me a fright. I was thinking the shooter came out the door and get us next. Okay. Thought they might get shot. Okay, let's not summarize that. Thought they might be next. Okay. I have to translate their... whatever language they're speaking in. It doesn't make any sense to me. We stuck everything back when we found it and scraped it straight into the black. So, put stuff back. And... scarpered back into the night, I assume. Nothing's being... okay. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? Okay, so he states he had no chance to shoot the pawnbroker. Or did he? No chance to shoot the pawnbroker. Or the victim. Let me say victim. Okay. Alright, so we'll just press them on these details here. We'll see if anything stands out here. Knocks up over, then heard the gun when they heard the gunshot. Thought they would be next, and then they put the stuff back, and then they left, so they had no chance to shoot the victim. But they had time to shoot Hairlock Sholmes, though. I don't know why that doesn't really come up. So you admit to the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Winniebank's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right, Nash, that's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah. Sorry. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made their mess. The way you say it, you hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can you make us sound a bit more cutthroat? Can't just be coincidence that these men showed up at Winniebank's last night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it. Transformers! Why are you looking at me? I have nothing to do with this. Hold it! If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place? Legitimate question. Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? Wait, Nash, we ain't. If we admitted something like that, people would think we was up no good. Well said, Ringo. Yo, China. We only land ourselves in more trouble. And in fact now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, which is called perjury, by the way, it's a serious offense. That's exactly what you've done. Landed yourselves in even more trouble. That's rotten luck, says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses, explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter? We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tied the place up. Sorry. Hold it! So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much, you knocked all those things off the counter. Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. The bags were nerves to keep his shirt on. Look, it was loud, right? Blimey, me dead granny would have woken up at the bang. Big brother screamed like a bloomy baby and fell over the counter. He knocked over a load of books, candlestick, and some skull whatnot. He knocked over books, a candlestick, and a skull. I think we need to check the record here on that. So the book's the skull. I mean, I guess they, yeah. The lamp was knocked over and broken. But the thing is, it's like, they had to remove the scales and the doll, too. I don't know. That got tangled in some marionette. What knocked over a picture frame? What knocked over them scales on the floor? You've really mastered working quietly, then. What a racket. Me granny would have been scared back into her grave at a Claire like that. Shown short, the gunshot took you by surprise. And then some. I mean, it was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, blam! Oh. Inspector Fish and Chips, you have something to add?
Excuse me!
You look very hungry there. Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add? Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels. No, something to add about their testimony. You seemed to react just now at what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it. Only... well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. How about you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellows into the yard for questioning last night. Now, the statement I gave then told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claimed you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gov, might have. It does ring a bell now that you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellows? If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has Citero proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. Easy, easy. We'll get it right this time. That's it. Yep. It's all coming back to me now. Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable minds, sir. Sirs. Right, you're right, Gov. So they heard a voice before the gunshot. Gimme that gun. Okay. That voice. Gimme that gun. Now, can they identify whether it was a female or a male voice that said that? So, in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously? We did, Gov, we did. Although, I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before the yell and all. If you don't want to get shot. Give me that gun. Bam! Kind of the thing. A career in acting tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from? Could you tell? Of course you would. From the other side of that door behind the counter, it was. From the storeroom where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, it was that of the victim, Mr. Windybank. On me granny's life. Of course it was. On his granny's life. Of course it was. So that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windybank and the sound of his voice? Eh? So that would mean what? What, Nash, what? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel. Indeed it would. No. We didn't know the geezer. How am I supposed to deny it when the bloke all fancy clever's giving us the evil eye? If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true. You do not want me to visit you in your bed at night. I will do worse than suck your blood. I will devour your soul. On me granny's life it is. On his granny's life it must be. It's a good job his granny's dead. To summarize then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor. You make it sound like we were clumsy. And don't forget we tie it up after like good little boys. Anyway, the way I see it. A bloke what owned the place was... A bloke what owned the place was holding a gun, so he sure just fired and said, oh, so he had the gun in his hand. Oh, that's new. Okay. So the Vic had the gun in his hand. And he sure just fired and said, you know, the guild, that contradicts with the photo. Because these guys came in. These guys came in after this photo was taken. And in this photo, our defendant has the gun, not the victim. I think that is a contradiction. Don't you think? I think that's a contradiction. I'm going to present that.
Objection!
You're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Windybank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct? That's it, Gov. You got the picture. Yes, Nash. Yes, no question. And yet the photographic evidence from the time of the incident clearly shows that Mr. Windybank was not in possession of a firearm of any description.
Objection!
You surprise me. Does the defense really intend to highlight evidence that compromises the position of the accused even more? No, I just want to prove that the witnesses are lying again. Furthermore, the defense has failed to establish that the photographic print presented was taken a suitably short time prior to the victim's death. Your chronology is severely lacking, Counsel. Is it? Is it? Yeah, that's right. Too right, Nash, too right. So Geezer could have been about to turn tables on the girl, eh? Hardly likely. No, I'm afraid this won't stand as conclusive evidence. Continue with the cross-examination, Counsel, and heed my earlier warning, witnesses. Why was that not a valid contradiction? Like, a Skulkin's never spoken. Well, and in this case, then the photograph has to not be real. Because now I have to assume they're telling the truth. So Mr. Windybank had the gun in his hands in the storeroom.
Hold it!
Need more information? You're saying that Mr. Windybank had a gun in his hands. Oh yeah, bet that was a sight, eh? Them two waving the guns at each other must have been pretty heated. So they saw? The two of them? I mean, just before it shouted out, we heard the geezer say, "If you don't want to get shot." It didn't really sound like he meant it, mind. More of an empty threat, you could say. Mr. Windybank was known to keep a revolver on his shop counter at all times. Not the best of place to keep a loaded firearm, might add. People say that to protect the articles in his keeping, he'd rarely put a bullet in someone's head if required. Usually he meant his own head. That someone being himself, of course. Good grief! Extraordinary devotion indeed, if alarmingly misguided. Well, it certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger on the other night. Only the person he was going to shot beat him to it, and cooked his goose proper. Bet he wished to squeeze the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." And it was directly after those words that you heard the gunshot. It was more or less the same time, Gov. "Give me that gun." Bam! Kind of thing. Yes, a career in acting very tragically missed. We already went through this. Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck. Before everything went dead quiet. After that, we done slapdash job tying the place up. And then we shot Mr. Sholmes.
Hold it!
So, you didn't try to open the storehouse door then? Not in your life. It went deathly quiet after that, it did. Put the wind right up on it. But anyway, the door was locked, weren't it? No way that was opening. I still don't know how they saw what happened. Because the door was closed. How did they... These two are lying, I know they are. These two are lying. Yes, of course, it was locked from the inside, or so we're led to believe. It was, Gov, it was, from the inside. Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we? But you just described Mr. Windybank having the gun, so... Guys... Unless there was some other way to get a view of the inside of the storeroom. Like through the keyhole, or a spy hole, perhaps? Don't ring no bells. Don't light no lights. We had to cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting our teeth in this game, see, but one day... they'll really cut the mustard. Please cut it out. But as we know, behind that door was the victim's lifeless body, with the accused not 2 feet away. Yes, unfortunately. Nina was in there, unconscious with the gun in her hand. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you set foot inside the storeroom? That's right, Gov, that's right. Couldn't have, even if we wanted to. Yes, whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun at Mr. Hairlock Sholmes. Oh, yeah, we was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when you lot turned up. If you're shaking like a leaf, don't put a loaded gun in your hand. Good advice, miss, good advice. Truth be told, my mind went totally blank. Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand. Mental note made, miss. After that, we legged it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers or something, so they clapped the derbies on us like us. We were winking. We were just winking at them and they just arrested us. And after you'd been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession, correct? Well, yeah. But listen, that proves it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Hold it!
And why should we believe that? What? Well, 'cause it's true, isn't it? The place was totally empty when we went in. And at that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused who had a gun to his head. In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the Pawnbrokery, Mr. Windybank. Correct? You got it, mister. Down to a T. So the Skulkin brothers never actually encountered Mr. Windybank. Is that really true, I wonder? No, it's not. I don't think it is. That's it? That's the full extent of their testimony? What is it, Runo? You look very fierce. Fiery, fierce. I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired. Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh. But I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something. Something important. It is nothing more than a feeling, though. I've no proof to support it. Well, feelings can be very logical at times. Sorry? People's expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in mind and your brain will quietly analyze it to come up with a feeling like you describe. Like a little ding. It's a little thing that it's this thing that new types do. It's a little ding in their head. It goes like ding, ding. You conclude that there's something suspicious about the testimony without knowing why, that's all. I think you should trust your instincts. Iris, thank you for that strange description. Sometimes I think if she's 10 years old, I must be 5. Okay, yeah, she is 10 years old. So, I mean, the contradiction clearly is this. This is the contradiction here.
Hold it!
But I need to, like, somehow get them on it. I still don't know why the photograph didn't count as proper evidence, because it was claimed to have been taken before they got in there. Okay, let's figure this out. It still seems like he was shot from the doorway. It's probably nothing, but I'm just noticing that the peephole on the door doesn't appear to be there in this picture. Like, I can see it in this picture. I don't see it in the other one. I don't know if that means anything. It might be nothing. I guess the only other thing I present is the other photo here, just to show that, hey, the door was shut, you could not have seen any of this.
Objection!
Try that. Nope, that didn't work. Right. Okay, I'll take the penalty. What if I present this again?
Objection!
Will that do anything different? You're saying that on the night in question, the victim was wearing a only gun, is that correct? That's a good, you got the picture. Yeah, that's it, no question. You got the photograph print, but Mr. Wingback but not doesn't. Come on. Come on, Van Zeeks, you know where I'm getting at here. Why are you... I don't understand why this evidence doesn't work. It's like the game... It's like it wants to work, but the game won't let me use it. I don't understand. Unless this is where I present the other photo and try to get them on the lamp. Which I still don't know if that's like really the relevant thing to focus on, but I'll try it here. Let's see what happens. Nope, that didn't do anything. Dang it. I'm kind of running the blank here. I mean, is there anything else that's different here? Maybe if I present the map. Maybe I present the map. Let me try that.
Objection!
Nope. That didn't work. Ah. I mean, I have to assume they didn't really know if there was only one bullet in the gun.
Objection!
Nope. That was just a long shot there. I didn't. Game, are you really gonna try to make me look up what I'm supposed to do here? Because I'm drawing a blank here. The gun, maybe?
Objection!
Nope. Okay, I don't know what logic the game is going on here. Ugh. Okay. Yeah, yes, I know. Hold on, I got it. My phone was like way over on my bed. Go and grab it. Alright. Whatever, I know. Okay. Give me a moment here. I'm not gonna put it on auto mode, because I'm not gonna do that. Case 5. That's where preparation will come. Case 5. There's probably going to be something really stupid that I'm just completely overlooking, which is what is usually the case. Gotta get to the part. Where is it? There was like so much investigation stuff before I got to the trial. Okay, so I did that part. Okay, so... Oh, this testimony is pretty easy, you do say. Okay, well, it didn't seem easy to me. I have pressed everything. I pursued Gregson, yes, I already did that. Didn't the crime scene photograph at statement 3? Didn't I do that? I thought I did that. That's that one. I presented it and they didn't accept it. Alright, let me just do... Yeah, I'm not following the logic here. So, okay, let me just do what the guide says. Press this again. Kind of heard a waving voice for you. If you don't need a shot. Give me that gun. Da 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 da. Kind of thing. Yeah. We both need Mr. Winniebank, yes. We already went over that. Okay, why didn't I get Gregson again? Present the crime scene photograph in Statement 3. Crime scene oh, this one.
Objection!
Why does that photograph work? So you're saying that on the night in question, the victim, Mr. Winniebank, was wielding a gun. Is that correct? Why would the other... I still don't know why the other photograph didn't work. I don't understand that. I don't understand. That's a glove, you got the picture. Yes, Nash, yes, no question. And yet, photographic evidence obtained immediately after the incident clearly shows, and photographic evidence before the incident clearly shows that Mr. Winniebank was not holding a firearm of any description, which both photographs prove. What? Gordon Bennett, that ain't right.
Objection!
Who is Gordon Bennett? There can be no question that the victim's revolver was used in the incident. I would remind the court that Mr. Winniebank's gun was found at the scene. Yes, we know that. Not only was it identified as the murder weapon, but it was found in the accused's hand. Yeah, that Maltool used the victim's own gun to finish him off. Give me that gun. Bam! Kind of thing.
Hold it!
Stay exactly where you are. Right there. If the crime had taken place as you so colorfully described in your testimony, it will give rise to an undeniable and significant inconsistency in the final moments you just acted out. Goodness. Are you sure, counsel? You intrigue me, my learned friend. But let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments? They were acting it out as if he got shot from the front. He was shot from the back, though. So I guess that... According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of, "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot. Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe. Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other. However, in the autopsy report, it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind. So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. Skulkin. But it's the God honest truth. It is, Nash, it is. I mean, when it was shot that night. The shopkeeper had a gun in his hand, and we saw it with our own bleeding eyes. Did I hear you right just now? You actually... Oh, sorry. You actually saw Mr. Windybank holding a gun? Something like that might have slipped out. Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question they actually saw, with their own eyes, the victim wielding a gun. Which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person. Nash, yeah. Oh door, I must drink. Witnesses. Witnesses, explain yourselves at once. Well, the thing is, we were supposed to, It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you. And now you will die. Am I to understand that you replaced the untruth of your original testimony with renewed lies? Ever so sorry, Governor. Truth is, see, we, Cut it out, Nash, cut it out. If we blab now, you know what will do to us. He? Who are they talking about? Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk. There is no other option available to you. Bruv, come on. The game's up. But we have all the guts of garters. In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet, no matter how hard you try to hide it, the truth will come out. On the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place. Well... Do we have to? On pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth. You do not want to make me angry. Okay, more testimony. Alright, let's see if we can do this time without having to get help. Alright, so said we just get inside the gaff and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Okay, so saw the victim. Okay. Give me that gun, he bellowed. Everything flew at us like we was possessed. I thought we had it. Okay, so y'all give me that gun at them? They shouted for the gun. For an old geezer, the bloke was strong as an ox. And he took me over the counter. Okay. Big truck or the counter. Okay, so that's how the stuff on the counter got knocked over. I put my gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room. Okay, so they fled to storeroom. This is sounding more and more like what actually happened, but it doesn't explain the photograph, though. So the photograph must be a lie, then. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear. Okay, no involvement in killing. Involvement murder of it. So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop. Well, yeah. Sorry. Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably. But honest, Governor, this time, Nash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide. Very well. Counsel for the defense. You may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for. Let's finish up with these people. I wish we had better witnesses than these two. They're really bad.
Hold it!
When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Windybank? Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. We was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the gaff, obviously. But we never thought no one was going to come out of the back room like that. The back room being the Pawnbrokery storeroom. Yeah, that must be where you popped up from. Only place it could have been. So it would seem the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises. Which means Guinea must have been in there at that point as well. But that doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Windybank into his storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived? Oh, I don't know. I'm not very good at these kind of things. Did you see the accused at the time? What? That Maltuler? Couldn't tell you. No way, Kaba. We had bigger fish to thrive in. I mean, your accuser just lost it.
Hold it!
You mentioned that Mr. Windybank shouted those words in your previous testimony, too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door. Oh, did we? But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he? Well, yeah. Was the victim, Mr. Windybank, wielding a gun at the time? Was he ever? Lummy, great ugly barrel, lad, pointing straight at me frontispiece. So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windybank with the gun at that time, is that right? It is, Gov, it is. Spot on. And then all of a sudden, he came at us. He did. It was bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who. You were clearly all going for each other. Like Nash said, we thought we'd had it. I mean... We're no geezer to block the stone it off. She took me over the counter. Yes, I know that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony, too. Well, yeah, of course you did. You knocked over a load of books, candlestick, and some skull whatnot. I got tangled in some marionette. What knocked over a picture frame? What knocked over some scales on the floor? So, in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter. Well, Big Brother went flying over the counter like a gunshot. I can tell you, then the old geezer pinned him. He did, Nash, he did. And if he hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened him like a blooming pancake in seconds. At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery. There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim. That's right, when the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street. They ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they? Poor Mr. Windybank. He did everything he could to protect the shop.
Hold it!
Were you intending to shoot Mr. Winniebank? No, never. I was just, you know, looking out for Brooke, weren't I? These are being flattened, don't forget. By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes. And then, the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. He shoved me away, then ran off through that door and shut himself in. There's something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true. I wonder why Mr. Winniebank ran away into the storeroom. What? Nani? Well, according to what everyone's saying, Guinea was in there waiting for him, with a gun. Ah, yes, that's right. Gina allegedly used Mr. Winniebank's gun to threaten him and forced him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Winniebank's hands again? I have no idea. But that is strange, isn't it? This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it. But look, the point is, me and me bruv here. That's right, Nash, that's right. Me and me bruv here. There had nothing to do with killing me.
Hold it!
I think during the tussle, one of them must have got hold of Mr. Winniebank's gun. Guinea must have already been knocked out in the storeroom. And when Winniebank tried to retreat into the storeroom, that's when they shot him in the... Or, the little one had the gun and shot him in the back. And that's why he fell into the storeroom the way he did, so they just took the gun, put it in Guinea's hand because she was unconscious, then... They locked the door somehow... Okay, we don't quite know how they locked the door from the inside. We'll have to figure that out. But that's kind of where my train of thought is kind of going right now. You say you had nothing to do with it. Nothing at all. Nothing, Gup, nothing. You know Geezer went and shut himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was, from the inside. We know it was, because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong. Wouldn't budge an inch. So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade. It would appear so. What say you to that, counsel? I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Winniebank? Alright, let me think about this for a moment. We'll save again. Safety save. Safety save. I mean, if I say no one else, they're probably gonna close the case on me. And that wouldn't look very good, so... It's always probably worthwhile just to take a chance here and be like, well... Who? Who else could have possibly shot him? Well, so far there's no sign of Mr. Eggs Benedict being involved, so... I think it had to have been Ringo. Because I think he got the gun somehow from Mr. Winniebank. And then he got scared and tried to retreat into the storeroom, and then he got shot in the back as he was running in there. That's my line of thought here. And for whatever reason, Gina must have already been knocked out in the storeroom. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Eh? What? What's that look for? From the moment you admitted that you'd encountered the victim face-to-face that night, the course of this trial changed completely. It did? What is your point, my learned friend? The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Winniebank? And it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all. Let's see if we get this right here. You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. Yes, let's do that. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts. So pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be? Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of two conundrums. Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe. Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at the time? Understood, my lord. Are you alright, Runo? I'm not entirely sure, but there's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there is a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely. Moderately, I would say. So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun. I would like to say around here, maybe? I want to say, like, maybe here? The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here. And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time? He had to have been probably, like, right here. Or maybe he was just closing the door or something, like, probably, like, right around here. The defense believes that the victim would have... Blah, 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 blah. What your answers in fact show is that your own position is as absurd as those you have indicated on the plan. What are you saying? What Lord Van Zieks is saying, counsel, is that you are an idiot. I am penalizing you. Is that your answers are clearly flawed. Knew it. It's twice as many chances to be wrong. So the questions are, from where did the culprit shoot the victim, and where was the victim at the time? Well, I don't see why we can't show that someone other than Guinea could have done it in the storeroom, do you? Yes, that's the right way of looking at it, I suppose. Someone other than Gina in the storeroom. That's what I'm trying to do. What's the best move here? Should I try again or gather more information first? Maybe we gotta get more info first. Okay, I admit, I just kind of looked at the guide real quick, and yeah, okay. I was actually really close. I was just off like a little bit. So apparently I didn't quite have them in exactly the right spots. But I still think I probably could have. I think it probably was still close enough, but... So apparently, according to the guide, the shooter had to be like right here.
Take that!
And the victim was in the storeroom. Like right here-ish.
Take that!
I mean, that's not too far from what I had, so... To be fair, I thought I was pretty close before. The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom, which is what I was trying to indicate before. Continue. Mr. Winniebank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after his death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom. Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony, I pulled my gun on him, and then he legged it through that door in the back room. If Mr. Winniebank ran away through the door, we had to assume that the door was open at the time. Ah. It was at precisely that moment, when the victim was fleeing for his life, that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the courtroom. Inside the storeroom, I mean. Sorry, I stumbled there. Yeah. Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial? Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory. It means the victim was likely shot by someone significantly shorter in height than himself. Like a child. Poor man. Shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety. Ah, of course. He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on a upward trajectory. So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Winniebank.
Objection!
I heard that. I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock? But... Why would you have a way to lock the storeroom from the inside? Like, I don't see what the purpose of that would be, just... I know it's kind of a little off topic, but... Why would you have a way to lock the storeroom from the inside? I mean, okay, assuming he was going to use it like a panic room sort of thing, yeah, I guess it would make sense to have a lock on the inside, but... That's presuming he was planning to use it that way. It was really a storeroom, so I don't really think it was really meant to be used that way. It makes more sense that the lock would have to be on the outside, just... whatever. But look, what if somebody else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door. Is that so? Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shot and locked the storeroom door from the inside? Well, there's really only one other person. That would have been Gina, so I'm gonna pick her.
Take that!
Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room? For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck. I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, counsel? Yeah, we haven't really thought that far ahead yet. Yes, that's a tricky one, that, isn't it? Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, counsel. Remember that, please. But of course Guinea would have locked the door. It almost goes without saying, doesn't it? It does? Well, if I was Guinea in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they? Well, yes, obviously. Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Winniebank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Winniebank must have heard the intruders breaking into the shop and left the storeroom. Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv. If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom. Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger. Bang. Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Winniebank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. What we have to ask ourselves now is what would the defendant have done in that moment? I see where you're going with this. Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Winniebank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it, in order to save her own life.
Hold it!
But I mean, we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we'd never shoot no one.
Objection!
That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Herlock Sholmes. That's correct. There is only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Winniebank's murder. Yeah. Where does this leave us? You mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all? I should have known it was those three brothers. They looked shitty as dense forest. That was amazing, Runo. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now. I know. First time ever. And probably the last. Well, I think you've done it. Surely if I have to give a verdict or not, I'll have to shoot my gun now. An admirable effort, my learned friend. And what's this now? He's laughing? You find the situation amusing, Lord Van Zieks? I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive. I dare say, such chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation. But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here. Nani? The hypothesis you put forward so obstinately, credibly, cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a flaw. A fatal flaw? Like why was the gun in Gina's hands? Of course. Do you mean to tell me that you're unaware of your logic's failing? I say, Lord Van Zeeks, might be an idea to explain this bally conjuring trick, or whatever it is, to the troops on the ground, The fatal flaw in my learned friend's argument is really very simple to understand. Assuming you're not too dim-witted to count bullets. By George, count bullets. Of course I can count bullets. Oh dear. He noticed them. Not really sure what he's getting on about. There was one bullet in Mr. Windymake's gun. Mr. Windymake was shot by his own gun. Okay, well I guess we haven't really established that yet, have we? Okay. I know where he's going now. Like I said, my theory is that one of the brothers got a hold of Mr. Windybank's gun and shot him with his gun. And Gina was already... well... okay, so Gina had to be awake to... we probably don't have enough information here. That's still kind of where I'm leaning right now. It doesn't quite explain why Gina had the gun in her hands, or why she was unconscious at the time. Huh? What's everyone talking about? Counsel. Yes, sir? Tell the court, how many bullets were found at the scene of the crime? Two? Two bullets? Correct. The first, that which hit the victim in the back, ending his life. And the second, that which struck the detective, Mr. Hairlock Sholmes, on his arrival at the scene. Indeed. The defense presented a picture showing the damage caused by the second bullet earlier in the proceedings. The bullet which injured Mr. Sholmes appears to have passed through his body to strike the calendar. Your lordship's understanding is correct. Furthermore, we know there are two firearms involved in the incident. The revolver belonging to the victim, Mr. Windybank, and the Skulkin brothers' revolver. The evidence shows that a single bullet was fired from each gun. Yes, indeed it does. A single bullet from each. Now then, my learned friend. You yourself told the court only moments ago that these two brothers shot Mr. Hairlock Sholmes right before your eyes. Yes, I did. Oh my goodness, I think you'll find that the single bullet that was fired from the brother's gun hit Mr. Sholmes. It means... Windybank, not shot by same gun, stop. Only one bullet, stop. Helicopter passing overhead. Maybe you can hear that, I don't know. Exactly. Yes, this Nipponese street performer presented an obstinately credible argument. However, it was never anything more than a diversionary trick, with no hope of standing up to scrutiny. Order! 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 Ow! Pray forgive the discourtesy of flinging the dregs of this hollowed nectar into the public gallery. Lord Van Zeeks, please stop doing that. You're injuring the people in the gallery. But this court needs to open its eyes. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade, is no ordinary little girl. Despite her young years, she can regrettably no longer be described as a juvenile. No, the person in the dock is far from a law-abiding citizen. She has a past riddled with criminal conduct. The truth is, the accused broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question with loathsome intent. As we can see beyond doubt in this print, which depicts her threatening the victim with the murder weapon. And I have here in my possession one more piece of evidence the prosecution wishes to present. That disc. I'll be taking that, whatever it is. McGillis down to a yard. Thank you very much.
No, don't give it him. It's mine. That is mine.
I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilded has to be taken in as evidence now. Yes, that music box. McGilded's music box disc. The very day before the hateful murder of Mr. Windybank. The accused attempted to make off with this article, which clearly doesn't belong to her. And with none of the subtlety of a pickpocket, I might add, but by brute force and brazen impudence. Good gracious. Make no mistake, any sympathy for the accused on account of her years is misguided and dangerous. There are no depths to which this girl would not stoop if pushed. No crime she would not commit. The court forgets that fact at its peril. I see. I think it would be prudent to take this music box disc into evidence, counsel, as a grim testament to the... Lord Van Zeeks, I am... Inspector Gregson? What? Yes, Inspector? We had a meeting yesterday at the yard with the prosecution service, and, I think it was agreed that the disc wouldn't be used as evidence. What's this all about? Why is the inspector acting strangely? That's the first time he said anything to Van Zeeks at all. I am unaware of any such meeting. But those were the instructions right from the top. The government bigwigs were insistent. Inspector, I am the prosecutor, and I alone determine how to present my case. Your warning is noted. Thank you. The prosecution wishes to proceed with submitting this disc as evidence, my lord. Indeed. Bailiff? The prosecution has established the accused's motive, opportunity, and baseness of character. There is nothing more to add. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I await your informed decisions and rest my case. I don't believe it. Let me check the evidence here while I got a moment.
For McGilded. That's the man you defended in court a couple months ago, isn't it, Bruno?
Yes, or rather mistakenly defended.
I wonder what his name's doing on the back of this disc.
That's a question I'd love to know the answer to myself. I wonder if they can,
We can test his blood, I wonder. Oh, Runo, look! This is blood! Yes, you're right. Just a small spear, but definitely blood. Actually, I feel as though I might have noticed that before. Haha! This nighttime is shining again. I thought I'd be waiting forever. Let's just do it right in the middle of court here. Alright, hold still with that disc, Runo. Can we get this done quickly, Iris? We're kind of in the middle of court here. In a flash! Boom! Green. Oh, a lovely bright shade again. Wait, that color. What is it? It's just that green, it's not the first time we've seen that color, is it? It's a green blood. Yeah, but the green blood was on the calendar, though. So I'm assuming the green blood was Mr. Sean's. Yeah. Okay. That's, interesting. I don't believe it. I have a jury on my side for once. For all of 5 minutes. Oh dear. It wasn't even for 5 minutes, Runo. My lord? Wonder if I might say something at this point. Proceed, Mr. Foreman. Been stumbling about in a bit of fog up to now, if truth be told. But all of a sudden... The answer's bully obvious to me and my men. There's only one thing for it. Oh no. Jury summation again. Oh joy. Very well. The court will hear from the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, you will present your leanings as to the defendant's culpability.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty.
Guilty. We have a consensus among the jury, it seems. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
That's my line. I wrote that for Hurley. Alright, how dare you use it against us? Don't worry, Iris, I don't think we're finished yet. There's still more to this case than we realize. There must be, because there's one thing that I'm absolutely certain of. Gina didn't shoot Mr. Winniebank. That's beyond any doubt. Very well. We will proceed with the second summation examination today. I'm assuming that's what you want to do, counsel. I'm assuming, correct? Am I? Yes. Mr. Foreman, are you and the other jurors ready? Gyaradev Squadron is primed and ready for action, sir. Very good. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will each explain on what grounds you have now determined the defendant to be guilty. Okay, here we go again. Need to get a new page here. Once a rogue, always a rogue, I say. Different breed to us law-abiding citizens. I'm not quite sure how to summarize that. Just believes in guilt, because doesn't really go cause, you know, class. There's only 2 bullets were found at the scene. I would say the whole case is done and dusted. Okay. 2 bullets at scene.
We haven't determined which bullet hit which person. Well, we have to know Mr. Winniebank's bullet hit Mr. Winniebank. We have to assume that.
You don't need a stereoscope to see the truth here. Every way you look at it, it was that pickpocket.
Had to be defendant. Okay.
I never imagined that simple operation would cause me such grief.
Operation.
The accused attempted a theft on the previous day. I can see I'm in for a busy day ahead.
Attempted theft on the other day. I think we can probably disprove that. That's kind of an assumption here. Because she legally had the ticket for the jacket and the disc was in the jacket. Technically. Even though it's probably Mr. McGilda's jacket. I don't know, no, it was the, yeah, it actually was Mr. McGilda's jacket, that's right. I am ballistics expert. I have seen many shootings. There is nothing I do not know about guns. Okay, Mr. Expert. Expert at guns. Okay, that's his reasoning. Yeah, some of these are not reasons to presume guilt, or just stuff. Oh, press that. It would seem there is little remaining room for doubt. Have to admit, I was rather bowled over by the argument put forward by the chap in black. The one that fell apart like a house of cards. I saw that I'd jolly been hoodwinked. Well, no more. The whole courtroom is turning against me. It's not fair. Iris? That prosecutor's being mean. Why is he being so mean? He has to be wrong because he's mean. A meanie. Just because Guinea's done some things she shouldn't have done in the past, that doesn't make her a murderer. Allow me to savor this fruity vintage while I savor the spectacle of your fruitless debate on the matter. Here's to the truth coming out, eventually. That's enough preamble. Counsel, proceed with the summation examination.
Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
Just because Miss Lestrade has a history of pickpocketing, she must be guilty of murder? Is that what you're saying? Ah, well. Are all members of the British Army so quick to judge? I beg your pardon. Are you mocking Her Majesty's Armed Forces, the greatest military organization in the world? No, I'm simply illustrating my point. Making assumptions about people because they're a soldier or a pickpocket is wrong and dangerous. Well, yes, might have a point there, I suppose. Let's not forget the girl had already shown she had it in her from before. She's clearly a criminal sort through and through. Can't deny it. When you say that she'd shown she had it in her, are you referring to this? Exactly. Tried to swipe that only a day earlier, huh? Or am I mistaken? Not exactly. Given that I was actually there at the time, it's hard to refute that.
I've never actually seen the real thing. Can't wait to have a closer look at it.
Oh yes, of course. Mr. Sholmes did use his caramel bars to make a copy of the disc, didn't he? Very strange use of caramel, and then ordered every type of music box he could find from across Europe. It's probably going to take a very long time. We still don't know what tune it plays, though, do we? But I'd love to see how the original compares to Hurley's copy. McGilded's disc. Could it be a clue somehow? Perhaps we should examine it in more detail. Well, we just did, so I think we're good on that.
Hold it!
It's the number of bullets that has you convinced. Only 2 bullets were fired, and the 2 guns that fired them have been examined by the police. When the parlor maid asks me how many are invited for dinner, I always tell her to count the table settings. Well, that's logical, I suppose. Although... Yes? Sometimes after dining, crockery does go missing. 1 or 2 guests rather like the fine china. Does your employer dine with thieves? So I suppose. If there was another bullet somewhere of which we were unaware, I'd have to reconsider my position. A 3rd bullet somewhere on the scene. Could that be possible? See, this is where now I'm thinking back to what I saw when we first went onto the scene. Because I distinctly remember I saw that calendar was already shot before Ryunosuke and Sholmes went into the Pawnbrokery. So now, okay, so maybe the green blood is not Mr. Sholmes, it could be somebody else's blood. And that calendar was already shot already. Which means the third bullet that was fired is actually in Mr. Sholmes. So that would mean a 3rd gun would have to... The bullet in the calendar had to come from a 3rd gun. Maybe. Or maybe the bullet in the calendar is from Mr. Windybank's gun. And the bullet in Mr. Windybank is from a different gun. I don't think we can prove that right now, so I'm going to... No. We can't do that right now. Yeah, I need more information. Unfortunately, only 2 bullets were discovered by the police during their investigation. Yes, I know. Right, so let's move on. And I don't imagine the good men in Scotland Yard would have overlooked anything. If I missed a bullet while I was cleaning his lordship's office, well... I should receive a sound scolding, I don't doubt. And he should receive a visit from the police, perhaps. It sounds like a crime scene to me. A 3rd bullet. It would completely turn things around if there was one, wouldn't it? Do you think we might find one lying around somewhere? I'm curious if Mr. Sholmes was shot through, or if the bullet stayed in Mr. Sholmes. Like, I don't really know. We don't have any... Yeah, we don't have any information on Mr. Sholmes, so I guess we're probably waiting on that.
Hold it!
But I'm gonna think about this idea of there being a 3rd gun. So if I've understood correctly, you need 2 pictures. A left eye one and a slightly different right eye one. We've been over this before already, Ryunosuke. We don't need to explain this again. Exactly! Then you can see the scene in 3 dimensions like this. Yeah! So, if we have 2 bullets, I don't suppose you can see anything useful with them. I think you'll find that no matter how much you squint, the truth of the situation always looks the same here. The only person who could have shot the victim is that girl in the dock. How can you be so sure of that? Think about it. The Skulkin brothers shot the great detective, didn't they? Yes, that's been mentioned once or twice. Well then, surely it's coming into focus now, isn't it? This is a waste of time. I'm not going to change this man's mind anytime soon. Yeah,
Hold it!
would you please stop muttering about things that have nothing to do with this trial, sir? The defendant's life is on the line here. Well, the thing is, I couldn't really say that it is nothing to do with this trial, to be honest. What? I mean, there's no question that the man was shot, but the bullet had simply vanished from his stomach. Wait. Were you working on Mr. Sholmes? The bullet is simply... It's quite inexplicable, don't you think? I almost don't want to ask, but the surgery you've been muttering about all this time, you were operating on... What was the fellow's name now? Hurlich? No Hairlock? No Hairlock? Hairlock Sholmes by any chance? Yes, good lord. It was that Hairlock fellow. What? You're the surgeon that operated on Mr. Sholmes. Why are you in the jury? Shouldn't you... I mean, sure. Okay. You already did the surgery, so I guess you are okay to go on jury duty. It just doesn't... Why is this man on jury? How did he turn around from doing surgery to just ending up on the jury? Just like that. I don't understand. That's right. Using the very latest anesthesia techniques, I might add. It was a fairly major op, I can tell you. This is crazy. Let me see. The fellow was brought in not long after midnight, if I remember correctly. They said he'd been shot by some criminal or other, so I opened him up like a shot. But the funny thing is, I went over his insides with a fine-tooth comb and couldn't find the bullet anywhere. So I'm afraid I had to throw up my hands and just stitch the fellow back up. Did you look for an exit wound? That would be the obvious thing to look for. An exit wound, you know? That means the bullet went through. If there was no exit wound and you couldn't find the bullet, then the bullet has to still be in there somewhere. It didn't disappear. I hate to state the obvious, but... Yes? Surely that's because the bullet is still at the scene of the shooting. Well, counsel for defense is correct, as is clearly shown in this photographic print. The bullet that the Skulkin brothers fired at Mr. Sholmes hit him in the stomach region, then exited his body and launched into the shop wall where the calendar was hanging by the door. I think you'll find this really quite simple if you just consider the problem three-dimensionally. Huh, who do you think I am, son? Well, juror number 4 is about the best I can do. As soon as I saw the wound to the man's stomach, I flipped him over. Like a pancake? Are you saying that you checked his back? Of course I did, and there wasn't a trace of injury. No sign that the bullet had left his body at all. That bullet didn't come from Sholmes. It came from somebody else. Nani? That's the point. The only logical conclusion was that the bullet was still somewhere in the man's innards. Which is exactly why I'm set about slicing him up.
And I'm still none the wiser even now. How many times do I have to say it? Can somebody please explain how it happened? Can somebody please solve the mystery? It's almost as much of a mystery as how this jury was put together. You don't say, Ryunosuke. Mystery where that bullet ended up is infuriating. Where's an expert when you need one? Well, there is a person who claims to be an expert on guns here. We're getting to in a moment here.
Hold it!
What do you mean you're in for a busy day? Forgot to say, stop. Do excuse me, stop. I am a communications officer. Stop. A communications officer? Does that have something to do with sending telegrams? Everything from personal messages written by members of the public to relays news in the capital. I convert all the messages into Morse code and tap it out to the world, to the entire world electronically. To the entire world, you say. Thousands of miles of cable under the sea. Stop. Worldwide communication network. Stop. Information transmitted to and from all corners of the globe. Stop. Ah, yes. She was getting equally worked up about radio waves on orbit like before, wasn't she? I specialize in communication information from government departments and newspaper offices. I see. I'm sure I shall have to wire the newspaper reports of the day's guilty verdict later. So no sleep for me tonight, I imagine. Let's just finish the trial first, shall we? Alright, Mr. Gun Expert.
Hold it!
Speak. I thought you were just a tourist.
Good day. I am visiting London for sightseeing. I would like to take bus to Crystal Tower, please.
There's no way he's just a visiting tourist. So you're a ballistics expert. Who knew?
I have much experience with guns.
Ah.
I have led through many, how do you say, extreme, violent bath of, blood of,
Ah, extreme, violent bloodbaths, perhaps. I'm very familiar with those.
those. Extreme, violent bloodbaths. English is very difficult tongue.
Considering the sort of people you associate with, I'm surprised you still have a tongue.
Anyway, if you have questions about bullets and guns, you ask me. There is nothing I do not know. No mystery I cannot solve.
Well, I have one for you. He's very confident in his knowledge of guns, that's for sure.
But, if possible, please, only in Russian language.
He's not very confident in his knowledge of English, though, is he? No, still, we should bear in mind he's our man if there's a mystery about guns or bullets. Wink, wink. Van Zieks has managed to convince everyone. When you have eliminated the impossible, he said, but he hasn't. If we're going to fight back, we need more material. And we have to fight back. We have to turn this trial around again. Again. Okay. I present your expert on guns.
Objection!
Those two statements clearly contradict the idea that all I do is pit jurors against each other. Okay. Oh, a ballistics expert.
Pitting. P-I-T-T.
On the night in question, Mr. Sholmes was shot by one of the Skulkin brothers. But since there was no sign of an exit wound on his back, we must assume the bullet didn't pass through him. However, no bullet was found lodged in Mr. Sholmes' body either. Furthermore, A bullet was found lodged in the wall of the shop where Mr. Sholmes was shot. Juror number 6.
Hello, my name is Villain. Pleased to meet you.
This apparent contradiction in the facts that is so clearly troubling juror number 4. Are you able to explain the mystery?
I have seen very similar situation in Motherland. It was night. There was blizzard. I was running away along mountain road in freezing cold.
Golly.
The snow was piling high on both sides of the road. It was very narrow and dangerous. My pursuers had hunting rifles and they were on dog sleds.
Mental note, don't ask too many questions.
I was shot from behind and I fell down in snow. And this situation was very similar to what I hear today from Doctor. They could not find a bullet in my body, and no sign of, how do you say, exit wound.
Then where did the bullet go?
Bullet never hit me.
Well, if it never hit you, why did you fall down?
Bullet hit frozen wall of ice, very close to my side.
What?
One small piece, very sharp, broke away from lump of ice and pierced my body. It made deep wound that looks just like bullet wound.
Good gracious.
Of course, piece of ice quickly melted inside me. And that's the solution to mystery of disappearing bullet.
But that doesn't answer the question at all. The shooting happened in a pawnbroker's shop. Not some snowy mountain road in another country.
Unless it was a piece of glass that ended up in him.
Like from a broken lamp that we have been neglecting this entire time. Just an idea, but we might not be looking at exactly the same scenario here. Runo, where exactly was Hurley shot again? Well, according to the report, in his stomach. Sort of around this area, I think. Well, that's precisely where he always wears a little pouch on his belt. A pouch? Actually, I might have noticed something like that. What kind of pouch? Yes, a pouch. It's where he keeps 3 glass vials of very dangerous chemicals that he uses in his investigations.
You don't say.
What? Really? Doctor, where is the pouch Mr. Sholmes was wearing?
Well, the fellow had nothing like that on his person when we arrived at the hospital, as far as I remember.
If I may. Lord Van Zeeks? While I realize it is forbidden for the prosecution to interject during a summation examination, I should inform the defense that I have the pouch in question in the antechamber outside the courtroom.
Sorry?
Why do you have that? As I understood it, when the police arrived on the scene and found Mr. Sholmes injured, they removed the pouch in order to assess the wound.
Ah, thank goodness. I thought I was getting forgetful for a moment.
Since then, it has been in my safekeeping along with all other evidence relating to the case. I can personally vouch for the fact that it has not been touched since the incident occurred. Very well. How extremely unconventional during a summation examination. Must demand the prosecution presents the items in question with all speed. Bring forth Mr. Herlock Sholmes' pouch. The pouch. I see. So this is the pouch worn by Mr. Sholmes on the night in question, is it? Look at that. One of the files is broken and the leather around it is scorched black. It's almost as if the file exploded. Exploded? What does that mean? So, that night, the bullet from the Skulkin brothers' gun struck Mr. Sholmes' pouch. And it was the glass file exploding that caused the fellow's injury. This bullet did not penetrate the victim, but was deflected into a wall of shop. A delightfully complex aroma. Well, it would appear one mystery has been solved at least. Though it has no bearing on the truth of this case. The bungling and burgling brothers shot the detective, and the accused shot the pawnbroker. The pertinent facts of this case remain unaltered. But at least the mystery is solved. I can sleep easy tonight. Thank you, young man. Thank you very much. Glad I could help. Maybe you can help me. Due to its bearing on the conundrum just solved, the court will sequester this scruffy pouch as evidence. Hurley's pouch isn't scruffy. I would like to take a look at this here. Now, summation examination. It would appear the defense is somewhat struggling to alter opinion, Please, my lord, a little more time. After all, that's a new piece of evidence I need to examine. Could be a valuable clue, and you can't afford to overlook anything here. Ryunosuke, there's still a way to turn this around, somehow. I'm sure of it. So he had to have been shot from this angle. These glass vials are Hurley's homemade potions. Homemade? Yes, like fingerprint powder to show up where people have touched things. And scent-amplifying solution to intensify smell lingering on an object. That's amazing. Do we know which ones do which, and which one was broken? They're all very easy to use. There's just one thing that you have to be careful of. They're all very flammable. Mr. Sholmes is a walking bomb. Either he's passionate about finding out the truth, or just oblivious to the dangers. Yeah, he's walking around with a lot of explosives. It's really scorched badly just here. Oh, the strap is broken, look. This must be where the bullet hit then. Let me see. The bullet's still there. We found our third bullet. What the? Iris, look! Behind where the broken file was. Do you see it? Ah! That's the Skulkin brothers' bullet. What a stroke of luck that it hit his pouch. This is an amazing discovery. What this means is, there were 3 bullets fired at Winniebanks that night. We found exactly what the juror was talking about. The third bullet. It's time to press that juror again, I think. Oh look, there's a hole here at the back. It doesn't look much like a bullet hole, but clearly something ripped through the leather with great force. Something must have pierced it somehow to have left this hole behind. Yes, it looks that way. Mr. Sholmes and his pouch both took a beating, didn't they? So maybe Mr. Sholmes has glass inside his abdomen. Which, judging by the surgeon, might actually still be in his stomach. Along with possibly a scalpel, too. Yeah, this, I wouldn't trust this surgeon. Yeah, that's not good. This is the bullet that was fired from the Skulkin brothers' gun on the night of the incident. Yes, so it turns out it never actually entered Hurley's body at all. Thanks to the thick leather of that pouch he was wearing, it saved him. Hee hee, Hurley's always lucky like that. Well, considering what he had to go through in the hospital, wonder how lucky he really was with that surgeon. Oh dear, poor Hurley. He's gonna die of medical malpractice. Don't think there's anything else we can see with the bullet here. Yeah, that's the same thing. Okay. We kind of do have some ballistic markings on here too, but I don't think we can really... do anything with that, so we're just gonna move on and present that bullet. Now the mystery where that bullet ended up has been solved. I feel much better. So I can't really present the bullet. No, I can't present it. I have to press release, I think. And two bullets were fired, yeah, okay, one of them. Cycle. Another bullet, yes. Per bullet, it's... Yes, we can prove it. Now. Allow me to show you then the third bullet. Ta-da! Here it is. We discovered it just now. Yes, on the night in question in Winniebank's Pawnbrokery, another bullet was fired.
Hold it!
What is this new trickery, you Nipponese conjurer? Where did you find that bullet? It was lodged inside Mr. Sholmes' pouch, which you just gave me. What? This pouch was removed from around Mr. Sholmes' waist before he was taken to the hospital. And since then, it has been touched by no one. You said so yourself. Do you mean to say? The shot fired by the Skulkin brothers that night. Yes, as your lordship has surmised, it hit this pouch. But that makes no sense whatsoever. We already know the whereabouts of the bullet fired at Mr. Sholmes. It's clearly visible in this photograph of print. But that's not the one that hit Mr. Sholmes. That was some other bullet. Ah. Two guns from the scene have already been submitted into the court record as evidence. Yes, that of Mr. Winniebank and that belonging to the Skulkin brothers. An examination of both guns revealed that only a single bullet had been fired from each. Ah. But that must mean... That's right. We now know that on the night in question, 3 bullets were fired. However, only 2 bullets were fired from the guns recovered from the crime scene. And until that incontrovertible inconsistency is somehow explained, we cannot and must not pass judgment. Ah. Ah. Order! 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 While this summation examination remains incomplete, the court has been presented with new facts. Facts that would appear to shake the very foundations upon which the case against the defendant has been built. As is my prerogative in this situation, I hereby temporarily suspend the summation examination. By Jupiter. What? Bailiff, bring the witnesses back to the stand at once. No, not those two again. No, I don't want to talk to them again. Why am I still here? Witnesses. Governor, were you listening to proceedings while the defense carried out the summation examination? We was, Governor, we was. Perhaps we can dispense with the tedious preamble. Simply answer this one question. A third bullet has been identified at the scene of the crime. What do you make of that? Make of it, Gov? I'd make nothing of nothing if I can help it. Is it one of yours? Gov, not a chance. In that case, did you have an accomplice? What? Never. The Skulkin brothers to work alone. Yes, that's two of us. That's our trademark. How soon we forget poor Sulky. Only 2 of the bullets from the crime scene originated from the firearms we have in evidence. The third bullet was fired from another gun. Where is it? That's a head scratcher. Excuse me. Counsel for the defense. Yes? I should like to hear your thoughts regarding these new developments. The third bullet, and the mysterious missing firearm from which it came. Thinking back over all the testimony we've heard and all the evidence we've seen, I think I'm starting to form a picture. A picture of what really happened that night. My lord, I think it's clear what this third bullet tells us about the Skulkin brothers. Alright, so these are my options here. Let me think about these. So they had a secret accomplice. Is that possible? Okay, well, the bullet in the calendar was there before Ryunosuke and Sholmes arrived on the scene. I have to assume that. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So, it means somebody else got shot in the Pawnbrokery, and whoever that person was is the same person whose blood is on the disc. So right now, we don't think it's Mr. Sholmes. I don't think it is. So who else could it be? It had to be some as-yet unidentified third party. Now, I don't know if they were an accomplice. I don't think they had another gun. I don't think that's a good option. And the last option, it had nothing to do with them. They might not know about a third party. But that depends on when the bullet that hit the calendar was fired. I don't know if there's a way to determine that. Because this was taken just before Ryunosuke arrived on the scene. The lamp was shattered. We still haven't addressed the lamp. The lamp has got to have some relevance. And we still don't know exactly what the meaning of this picture is. Like, was this a setup? Like, I'm starting to get the impression that this might have been a setup. We still don't know what happened to Mr. Eggs Benedict here. Maybe the green blood is his. He's the only person we haven't seen or heard of again. Can we prove they had a secret accomplice, though? It's either this or it didn't have anything to do with it. It's not that they had another gun. Let's just take a chance here and see where this takes me here. On that night at Winniebank's Pawnbrokery, the brothers must have been working with a third man. The witnesses are clearly doing their best to cover up the existence of this accomplice. But the evidence all points to the fact that there was someone else present, someone carrying a gun. We do have the blood of some mystery person at the scene too. We haven't really identified yet. So somebody else was there. An accomplice, you say? Pig swill. These protracted proceedings have already forced us to endure 2 summation examinations. In all that time, there has not been a murmur of a third man, but this apparently wraith-like being exists. The court must be shown hard evidence. Without it, this fantasy will be crushed. The prosecution demands answers on 2 counts. Firstly, proof, evidence, that this accomplice was ever at the scene of the crime. And secondly, the identity of this spurious character. Skulkins are lying, I know that. But how can I ascertain the identity of the person they're hiding? Well, counsel? Wait a minute. Whoa. I just remembered something. Yeah. The Eggs Benedict dude cut his hand on the disc. So it's his blood on the disc. He's the green blood. That's right. Yeah, I remember he complained about getting cut when he was wrestling with Lestrade, but that was a while ago. I'm surprised I just remembered that. So yeah, the green blood is Mr. Eggs Benedict. So we can... I think we might be able to prove it's him in the court. Let's see. In response to the prosecution's demands, my lord, the defense is... take a chance here. We're ready to present answers. Let's do it. Let's take a chance. We have the disc, we have the photograph of the green blood, and we have the profile of Mr. Eggs Benedict. We know he was there the day before and got into a tussle. I think we might be able to present it, provided the game will let me do that. The defense is ready. I believe I can provide all the answers the prosecution demands. So, my Nipponese friend, despite the swimming eyes, you seem to think you have something to say. This promises to be interesting. I have to push forward now. There's no other option. I need to use every single piece of evidence available to me if it will make a difference. In that case, counsel, I would ask you to present the evidence without delay. On the night in question, and the moments leading up to the death of the victim, what proof have you that there was a third intruder present at the scene? That would be in here. I'm gonna go with this.
Take that!
The evidence is right here, in this portfolio. By Jove, that portfolio again, is it? Do you expect the court to rifle through your papers itself? Be more specific. You claim one of those blood samples proves the presence of this third intruder. Well, which one is it? This one here.
Take that!
You don't know whose blood it is. Well, I mean, I do, but... What am I looking at here? There appears to be some green paint or such like around the bullet hole in the middle of the calendar. That's a bloodstain, my lord. I know it looks green, but it is actually blood. A bloodstain? Green blood. Curious, even for you. Is the court to understand that the intruder was some unhuman creature? Yes, it was a green-blooded Vulcan. It's something developed by Mr. Hairlock Schultz. It will take too long to explain.
By the great detective! New invention, stop. Not yet appeared in stories, stop. It's this, you see. It doesn't have a name yet. We just call it the blood changeroonie gun. I'm just calling it that for now. This fogger sprays a chemical that reacts with the different elements in people's blood to change its color.
Different elements of people's blood?
Yes, everyone's blood is slightly different, you see? Because it's made up of different elements. By seeing what color it changes to, you can tell in a flash whose blood it is. Oh, that brings a whole dimension to looking at blood. Talk of blood in courtroom. Stop. Very exciting. Stop. As an example, this one shows the blood of the victim, Mr. Winniebank.
Ah, a striking blue.
Yes, so you see, the green color of this bloodstain on the calendar shows that somebody else was shot in the main part of the shop.
Now hold fire there, young man. It could be for some unrelated incident, couldn't it?
No, it's not unrelated. The date showing on the calendar is the date on which Mr. Winniebank was killed.
By golly.
Therefore, we can assume that whoever was shot on the same day. Then whose blood is it? Well, the Skulkin brothers in the stand don't appear to be suffering from any gunshot injuries. Which means it must be the blood of somebody else. The third intruder, in fact.
Objection!
Whose identity the court is still waiting to hear. You can't delay this any longer, my learned friend. Who is this alleged third intruder? I'm gonna say Mr. Eggs Benedict, because he's the only person we haven't really looked into yet.
Take that!
The man's name is Eggert Benedict. Eggert Benedict? Who on earth are you talking about, counsel?
He paid a visit to Winniebank's Pawnbrokery on the afternoon before the incident took place, when the accused attempted to deceive the pawnbroker into releasing this article into her possession.
That's right.
The man identified by the defense, Mr. Eggert Benedict, then attempted to take the article from the defendant by force.
Broker. Yes, sir.
I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no?
Yes. The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once.
Now that's a lie. What are you trying to pull?
Give me back my overcoat, you Rastro. And needless to say... any music box disc, too. Or I shall strike another pose.
Inspector Gregson was there at the time and can attest to what happened. In the end, it was the inspector himself who took the disc.
Can you corroborate this account, Inspector? Yes, my lord. That's more or less what happened. And in the interest of being thorough, I asked Winniebank for a print showing the fellow. taken from one of his red-handed recorder governess.
Yes, that's him talking to Mr. Winniebank that morning.
And you claim this man is the brother's accomplice.
Well, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin?
Never seen the geezer before in me life. All my life, Gov, all my life, never seen him. Well, somewhat unsurprisingly, it appears our witnesses disagree with the assertion. I'm sure your lordship recalls my learned Nipponese friend's actual assertion, which was that he could prove the identity of the alleged accomplice.
Yes, and I can.
Then show us the evidence.
I agree. We must see proof that the clean-cut gentleman in this photograph is the filthy criminal you say he is.
This is the last piece of evidence. I've had a feeling that something has been missing in this trial from the very start. But now, I'm going to drag it kicking and screaming into the courtroom. Are you ready to present your answer to the court then, counsel?
Yes, my lord.
The defense will present the evidence now.
Proof that the man pictured in this photograph of print was in fact the person struck by the third bullet.
We don't present turn green when analyzed. Okay, maybe we can present the disc. Let me present the disc.
Take that!
As I mentioned before, on the afternoon of the day in question, the defendant attempted, deceitfully, admittedly, to reclaim this disc from Winniebanks, which is when the aforementioned Egbert Benedict appeared on the scene, I believe. This man then attempted to purloin the article from the defendant's possession, no?
That's correct, my lord.
I myself was present at the time. It was following this that a minor incident occurred. But of course, sir. Here's the disc for you.
Very well.
Sir, then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style.
Wait a minute. That disc is mine.
Bleh. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You drawn blood, you filthy animal. Being a music box disc, it has countless small but sharp metal protrusions over its surface. Those protrusions cause Mr. Benedict's fingers to bleed, and the resulting smear of blood is still visible on the disc now. Goodness, a bloodstain, is it? My assistant and I have just analyzed the bloodstain here in this very courtroom.
Using my trusty Fogger gun.
Yes, and we added the results to this portfolio. I say,
it's green.
It's... Who is number 5, though?
It's exactly the same color as the blood around the calendar.
The evidence is conclusive. The man calling himself Mr. Egbert Benedict, who was in Winniebanks earlier in the day, is the accomplice who was present at the scene of the crime that night.
So it was someone else. Look at those two brothers now. They're sweating buckets.
Wait, what are you talking about? It's boiling here. My lord, it is the opinion of the defense that Mr. Egbert Benedict should be summoned to the courtroom to testify. It would certainly seem that we can ill afford to ignore this gentleman's apparent presence.
Objection!
This has gone on long enough now. This flagrant ignorance of the mechanics of law. Herlock Sholmes, you say? Yes, I've heard the name. The protagonist in a series of short stories for the vulgar classes. A god of detection or some such. And now you employ chemical substances devised by this fantastical persona in the highest court in the land? Do you expect us to take you seriously? The samples made by this plaything are not fit to be called evidence. It's called forensics. It'll be a thing. I promise it'll be a thing someday. So the bloodstain turned a shade of green. What of it? Here's to you successfully proving that no other blood in the world would turn the same color. Well... See my boot, and pray do not even think of suggesting that we should take Mr. Sholmes' word for it.
Is he right? Is Mr. Sholmes' concoction deadly? I don't know. I mean, he's a great detective. What are you talking about? We can't let him get away with that.
I knew it would come to this. Of course, Mr. Sholmes' invention isn't going to be recognized by any official body. But what other choice did I have?
I'm just remembering what Father Christmas over there said before. About how he was temporarily suspending the summation examination. In other words, the examination isn't over yet, is it?
Good grief. What did you just say, young girl?
And in a summation examination, the decision as to whether or not the trial continues is in the hands of the 6 jurors, isn't it? So the way I see it, it doesn't matter what certain other people think of Hurley's invention. At least, not for now.
Yes, she's right. Young lady, you have quite the devious mind.
It really just comes down to one thing. Whether these ladies and gentlemen of the jury are convinced of what you say, Runo. Is that about right, would you say? Or did I misunderstand something?
Unbelievable. Mr. Sholmes' partner is a force to be reckoned with.
Iris Wilson, sharpshooter.
After that shrewd praises of the situation from an entirely unexpected source, it must be acknowledged that the previous summation examination has yet to reach its conclusion. This is absurd. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court now looks to you for your final leanings in this matter. As proud citizens of Her Majesty's Britain, I'm sure you will come to a fair and just conclusions. So then, state your final decisions in turn, please.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Guilty.
He still thinks guilty.
Guilty.
She still thinks guilty.
Not guilty.
Alright, so we got 4 out of the 6, so we can continue. 2 called guilty, and 4 called not guilty. Such is the outcome of the summation examination.
Objection!
My lord, with all due respect, this is an outrage. The prosecution refuses to accept the decision. On what grounds? If these jurors are persuaded by some half-baked concoction devised by a pretender to real police work, then they are too ignorant to be trusted with the judgment of anyone's guilt. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zieks, but the outcome of the summation examination cannot be ignored. This trial will continue. My shoulder! Nevertheless, we find ourselves in a rather awkward situation. The defense has very reasonably requested the subpoena of a new witness. But sadly, I fear that will be impossible. What? What do you mean? The name the gentleman gave for himself, Egbert Benedict, is quite clearly fake. False. It sounds like Eggs Benedict. Obviously, I recognize that's a fake name. I don't believe it. I never knew that would be a fake name.
Just when I managed to prove the man was there that night. Could I say something? Who was that, please? Who spoke? It was me, my lord. Juror number 5? What have you to say, madame? If possible, Inspector.
Me? Ma'am?
I wonder if you might show the photograph print to me again. The one in which the gentleman is shown.
Oh, right, yes. This one, you mean? Mr. Benedict?
Yes. There's no doubt in my mind.
Juror number 5, you don't mean to say you know this man?
Yes, I know him.
What? No. Good gracious! Order! 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 Juror number 5, how on earth?
I am a communications officer. Stop.
As we can clearly see.
The gentleman in the photograph is... Stop. Also a communications officer. Stop. He works in my office. Stop. A very talented operator, in fact. Stop. He should be in the communication station now. Stop. Tapping away on the telegraph. Stop.
This doesn't seem right somehow. I can't put my finger on it, on why, but it doesn't feel right.
I suppose we all imagined the accomplice would be some sort of hardened criminal. It's a bit unexpected to find out that he has a respectable job by day, whatever he gets up to at night.
Yes, I suppose that's it. I suppose that's why I felt something was wrong. If the gentleman is at London's communication station, we should be able to subpoena him within the hour. Lord Van Zieks, would you please? Yes, my lord. Make the necessary arrangements with all haste, as your lordship bids. The court will recess for 1 hour. When the new witness arrives, we shall reconvene to hear the gentleman's testimony. Inspector Gregson? Yes, my lord. I should like to hear from you specifically about events at the Pawnbrokery on the day in question. Come to my chambers during the recess. Yes, sir, my lord. Very well. Court is adjourned until 1:40 p.m.
We are adjourned, and we have got to the end of this part.
Save, yes.
Alright.
Alright, so we have made progress here, so... Okay. Alright, so yeah. So Mr. Eggs Benedict was on the scene. I'm gonna assume that the first photograph showing Windybank and Gina is a setup photograph. I'm assuming that was staged. I'm gonna go under that assumption now, because it contradicts everything else we've heard so far. So that photograph has to be false. So that means I'm assuming Mr. Benedict must have been there. He must have set the whole thing up somehow. We haven't quite gotten to an adequate explanation of how the door to the storeroom got locked with Gina and Windybank's body inside. But I still think that was set up somehow. We don't really haven't figured out how that was all put together yet, so. But it is possible that the bullet in the calendar is the one from Mr. Windybank's gun. And the bullet that shot Windybank must have come from Mr. Eggert's gun. So that was probably the third gun in there, so. I'm probably going to go under that assumption for now, because that probably makes the most sense to me. So we will find out next time if I am correct in that theory. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I will continue this next next time, I'll try to see if I can do it tomorrow night. It will be tomorrow night, or it will be like next Tuesday or Monday or whatever. We'll see. Anyway, I've been streaming for a while, so I should probably stop now. See you next time. Bye-bye.